When I was a little girl, I learned that a dream was a wish the heart makes when we're fast asleep. I believed in that description, believed that dreams only occurred during sleep, that dreams could never be a part of reality. And then I started learning about my history. I learned that Harriet Tubman, a leading abolitionist who constantly risked her life to ensure that hundreds of enslaved people were able to experience freedom, uttered the following words as she lay on her deathbed: "I go to prepare a place for you." I saw how my ancestor, as she took her last breaths, dreamed of a future, how she was formulating a plan for future freedoms. I learned about Frances E.W. Harper, a suffragist, poet, teacher, and organizer. I read some of her anti-slavery literature and her poem, "Bury Me in a Free Land," which uses vivid imagery and metaphor to discuss the oppression of enslaved people and to imagine a future land where Black people are free. She too was imagining worlds of the future, worlds of freedom where Black folks are able to sleep, to rest, to enjoy life beyond mental, physical, and emotional enslavement. I learned about Coretta Scott King, an author, activist, civil rights leader, and sci-fi reader. I learned about how early in her courtship, she sent Martin Luther King a science fiction book written by Edward Bellamy called Looking Backward, 2000 to 1887. Now, you may have never heard of this book because it was published in 1888. But in it, the main character falls asleep in the 19th century and wakes up in a 21st century socialist utopia. All people are free and equal, individualism has given way to collective humanism, and hierarchy and oppression are eliminated. Inside Bellamy's book, Coretta wrote the following message: "I shall be interested to know your reactions to Bellamy's predictions about our future." With this message, Scott King foregrounded future vision, dreaming, as essential to promoting social justice for all. She was dreaming of just futures and wanted Martin Luther King to dream alongside her. Reading about Black women helped me reconsider the idea that dreams only happen when we're sleeping, because I noticed that Black women are constantly dreaming and wishing while we're awake. Throughout our lives, on our deathbeds, in our writing, in our relationships, in our activist work, dreaming is and has always been centered. We dream of freedom, we dream of joy, we dream of Afrofutures, we dream of preparing places and spaces where Black folks can be well. But it's not just Black women though. Black girls are also dreaming, all the time. Walk with me as I tell you about a few. In 1914, at 17 years old, Amy Ashwood Garvey co-founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, an influential anti-colonial movement that centered the advancement of Black people across the African diaspora. On March 2nd, 1955, 9 months before the widely known Rosa Parks incident, Claudette Colvin was arrested at the age of 15 for challenging bus segregation and refusing to give up her seat to a white woman on a crowded bus. In 1967, Tarika Lewis, then a 16-year-old high school student, became the first sister to join the Black Panther Party. This feat came after she'd co-founded a Black student union and staged sit-ins to demand the inclusion of a Black Studies course and a Black History club at her high school. In the spring of 2015, Ziana Bryant wrote a petition to the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, that called for the removal of Robert E. Lee's statue and a renaming of Robert E. Lee Park. She was 15 years old. In 2017, 10-year-old Karis Rogers started a clothing line, Flexin' in My Complexion, to inspire Black girls to be comfortable in their skin after she was bullied for her dark skin. On March 14, 2018, 12-year-old Naomi Wadler organized a walkout of 60 classmates at her elementary school. Days later, she became the youngest speaker at the March for Our Lives rally to advocate for Black female victims of gun violence in the United States. As you can see, throughout time, Black girls work towards the creation of an anti-oppressionist world. They dream of futures where racist statues, gun violence, and anti-Black policies are eradicated. They imagine worlds where Black girls are celebrated and Black youth and Black communities matter. Like Coretta Scott King, these girls are dreaming of just futures and begging us to dream alongside them. When I was a doctoral student engaging in my dissertation research, I also saw Black girls dreaming. It was the summer of 2019, and I was facilitating an Afrofuturist writing workshop for 6 Black adolescent girls. The goal was for each person, including me, to write a speculative fiction story by the end of our time together. In each of our meetings, we discussed story elements like plot, character, and conflict. We read excerpts from Black speculative stories like Orleans by Sherry Smith and Mother of the Sea by Zetta Elliott. We centered writing tasks from Jewel Parker Rhodes' book on fiction lessons for Black authors that asked us to write about what we know, what we remember, and what we imagine. And we used each of these components to think through the writing of our own speculative short stories. Throughout this workshop, I saw how Black girls used their pens to author their freedom dreams. Amber dreamed a world in which Black girls act against injustice in various ways, including nonviolence and physical altercations. Both Bailey and Tara imagined worlds where the community is vital to the survival of the individual, eschewing this individualistic, capitalistic narrative often promoted in our society. Victoria and Avenage dreamed of worlds where people listened to Black women and girls, a world where we could use our creativity and wit to solve problems, and people actually listened. Talon imagined a world where Black girls are protected, where we could expel our magic for protection if needed. Collectively, the girls used vivid imagery and metaphor to imagine futures and worlds where Black girls are free. They used their imaginations to dream otherwise, creating new futures and new worlds that drastically differ from our current reality. When I dream of educational Afrofutures, I see Black girls in schools who are not forced to minimize their genius because the teachers can't handle their prodigious, wide-ranging intellect. I see teachers who uplift Black girlhood in the classroom, not just during the month of February and not just when our names are transformed into hashtags, but throughout the school year. I see schooling spaces that protect Black girls from the violence of spirit murder that occurs each time a Black girl is pushed out, pushed away, or pushed aside. I see Black girls using their creativity and wit to set the record straight in a crooked system without feeling as though they will be penalized for telling the truth. I see Black girls being able to flex in their complexion, in their brilliance, in their ancestry. This is not the world we have, but it's one we can build. We can turn this dream into reality and ensure that it's not something that only resides in realms we create while we are asleep. I discuss these dreams, those of my Black female ancestors, those of Black girls I've never met, and those of Black girls I've worked closely with, because the Afrofuture does not exist in a vacuum, in a non-historical void. My dream exists alongside the dreams of those who are named here and those whose names I don't have the room to mention. I honor these women and girls, and I outline aspects of their dreams because they give me a reason to continue dreaming. The dreams of my ancestors prepared space for me to imagine. The dreams of Black girls push me to continue creating spaces where Black girls in the present and in the future will be able to sleep, to rest, to enjoy life beyond the mental, physical, and emotional violence that enacted upon them in a society that praises their content but despises their existence. My ancestors dreamed the Black present into being, and now it's my turn, our turn, to dream multiple futures into existence. I dream of Afrofutures, of educational spaces where Black girls and all Black youth can be well. And, as you can see, I do not dream alone.